Doug, as I just mentioned, two very different versions of events about what happened in that phone call between Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky.
The same way we have two very different versions of America, right? We famously talk all the time about the divisions, the polarization of America. Well, we're cutting right to the quick here. This is, in a nutshell, the polarization of America right there. And both sides have their own truths, their own versions of the truth, and their own versions of just how weighty and how much gravity they should lend this whole inquiry. First of all, for Pelosi, she has announced an impeachment inquiry. Now, from the Republican standpoint, she's done it unilaterally. That is, often impeachment inquiries get a resolution of the House in order to be launched. So there's already questions and murmurs over the process by which she announced it. Now, of course, the Democrats control the House, and the House has the right. In fact, they have the obligation, if a constitutional duty, if they feel that the president has breached his constitutional duties, violated the laws, to vote on articles of impeachment, to vote on impeachment proceedings. What we have here, though, are a lot of unknowns at this point. We have an impeachment inquiry, and that is only the first step. Let's remember, we keep saying the word impeachment. This is an inquiry, an investigation. It could last weeks, it could last months, leading up to ultimately a vote on what's called articles of impeachment. Those are actually sort of like the indictment charges if this were a court. Once those are then brought, then it goes to the Senate. So we have a long road ahead here. Questions over how long will this process last? How sweeping will the investigation be? In the past, a lot of impeachment inquiries, whether we're talking about Bill Clinton, whether we were talking about Richard Nixon, even going back to Andrew Johnson back in 1868, an impeachment inquiry was announced, Laura, and then all of a sudden all this other stuff was hoovered up, was vacuumed up and got caught up into it. And sometimes the ultimate charges on which a president was impeached, not removed from office, that's never happened in an American impeachment process. No one's ever been removed from office. But the articles under which a president's been impeached often had nothing to do with the original charges brought against him or the original reason for which the impeachment was launched, including Bill Clinton with the Monica Lewinsky allegations. That wasn't part of the original impeachment allegation. So where will this go? How long will it last? Who will conduct it? Under what authority? Now,
Pelosi's been under a lot of pressure, hasn't she, from members of her own party to go ahead and launch impeachment proceedings. Before this, it was about alleged Russian collusion.
Right.
Why has she decided to do it now? What was the trigger? What is different this time around?
Nancy Pelosi had always been extremely cautious, one, because she was trying to protect a lot of the Democrats in her party, many of them newly, freshly elected Democrats from the last midterm elections at the end of 2018, who had come from, they were so-called moderate Democrats who had often been elected in states which Trump had won in 2016. Very fragile situations, often many of them won with razor-thin margins. And she feared that if she were, in her perception, to launch an investigation, an impeachment inquiry into Trump that was perceived as hasty by the American public. Let's remember, before the elections, a vast majority of Americans did not support the idea of an impeachment. She felt that if Congress, if Democrats in Congress especially, seemed out of step with American opinion on impeachment, somehow that would backfire in their face and they'd actually suffer a lot of political consequences. Those political consequences have been swept away a lot by the pressure brought by the progressive wing, the liberal base of the Democratic Party, also, though, by a lot of the 2020 Democratic candidates, and also by the nature of this new evidence emerging, yet to be investigated, of course. But Nancy Pelosi said when facts emerge, if and when facts emerge, she would be ready to impeach. And she believes that this new case is much more solid and brings facts much more starkly to the table than what preceded it. And now she has that comfort zone to make that move, which is why she did it. She said now it's pretty crystal clear.
Doug, thanks very much indeed. Douglas